this section.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just switching over here. All right.
So, and I'll comment a bit further.
Yeah.
So this other section that you write, where you give the example of, imagine feeling a sudden surge of anger during a disagreement. And then you go on to connect or defend. And, for part of my psychotherapy registration, I've got to keep up with things, right? So I was just on one of Terry Real's free webinars. And it was it's a sales pitch for a program that he's got, but he still gives, he makes good points. And was the relationship in marriage. And what you're speaking to there is exactly what he spoke about, connect or defend. And when you defend, you're coming from, in their language, the inner child. And when you're connecting, you're coming from the adult, the integrated adult self, right? You can connect through the inner child as well, but then that's trauma bonding.
The feeling between those two is what's very important then.
Oh yeah. And being able to, when you say feeling, so then that's also, you're speaking to where people can feel it in their body so that they know the difference between the two. And it's not just one feeling, I don't think. I think it's a few feelings that come together.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I experienced that this weekend. And like only in reflection, it's like, oh yeah, I can see that child, right? That inner boy that's probably wanting to create a conflict. It doesn't want to do that. Asked nicely, but it was a little temper tantrum. Knowing it was not, knowing not to do it, yet still do it.
Still doing it. Yeah.
Don't go there. Nope. Let's open it up just a little bit and see what happens.
So what did happen for you? What were you left with?
So in a sense, it was declined to help. And so that turned into a withdrawal for the request. And so I accepted that. Yeah. Still sat there. I was like, really, I'm here to help. But it wasn't sincere, received that way, which I don't blame. Like it shouldn't have been. It was that was you. So you could say both stubborn patterns involved. So it was to experience, to let that, good way to put it is let that let that inner child see what happens with it.
Mm.
Do we like that or not? And to observe the reaction.
That's right. You froze. I wonder if it's mine or yours. Sorry, you froze there, Jess.
Yeah.
It looks like it was mine. Just let me switch quickly before we go. You there? Yeah. Okay. It should stay stable now, I hope. Okay, so the inner child gets left to see what the result is. And so what I thought when you said that was let it see whether it gets it to the end result that it wants.
I don't think it really knows. It only knows its pattern's end result, which is to get out of it. Doesn't want to do it. Yeah. So it's the merging, the integrating of the adult and the child together in that way to say, what is the best outcome here? Because sure enough, right, he got what he wanted from the point of view of didn't have to do it. But rather than that, it was like, fine, we'll go clean the bathroom. And, and it's a great example again of my resistance, their resistance, and both of our resistance.
Yes. Those are good examples to reflect on, right? Because then you notice the pattern between the two inner children talking to each other.
Yes, yes. In a relationship that matters.
That's right. That's right. So what I wonder about then is, okay, so it's a habitual pattern for our inner child. But I also wonder then, what is it that's happening? What is it that's not happening for that pattern to keep on playing out? Especially when you think about the change triangle and you think about that pattern as being a defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we engage in the defenses, her model is that when we engage in defenses, we avoid dealing with the primary emotions.
which probably is control of that one. Control, to be controlled.
So that's the defense. But
Mhm.
what's the primary emotion underneath that?
Left alone.
Could be. Very definitely so. And then the
I mean, it's
emotion.
surely don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah.
And like, that's not the first time it shows up.
Yeah. And hence my, going into it.
Mhm.
Because my child parts also come up. And I'm thinking, oh, you here again. What are you doing here?
Mhm.
So in being left alone as children, that brings up fear, right?
I don't think for me.
What do you think it brought up for you?
Well, the like there isn't. I was left alone all the time.
Okay.
And like in ways, here's what I'll say is like every morning I wake up and no one was home.
What do you imagine that did to you?
I got well, like what I recall of that is I figured out how to get out of the crib. So I problem solved. Yeah. I got out of there it is. I got out of the control.
So the crib was the control.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting.
And it's not like my mom would go riding. She'd jump on her horse and go riding, right? And
Yeah.
kids would get up when they get up, and she'd come get us when she got home.
Yeah.
And so it was like waking up in the morning.
Nobody around.
I'm stuck in this thing.
And that doesn't suit me.
That's right, without a doubt. Doesn't suit me, and that's I think a big like. Don't tell me what to do. So I think that's my individual side of it, my independent side of it, which is knowing that someone would always come home.
Mm.
So it wasn't the fear of it; it is like this thing's got me, and I got to get out of it.
Interesting. So, can I speak to it a bit more?
Yeah, please.
Explore it more. So if there's not fear and there's determination, so I'm noodling it because I'm trying to get to what that primary emotion would be. Would it be fear of control?
I think dislike of it.
Yeah.
So is it a version of it's like a version of being told what to do?
Mm.
So it becomes the authority side of it of what to do, and then that plays into some real big patterns of mine too.
Mm. Well, for all of us, it would, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think what you're speaking to is it's not personal. I think it's I think there are a lot of people that would
So
relate to.
all of it for us was, well, you had to work hard before you could go play. And so it was, as soon as you got up, then the next one was like you had to go weed the garden, go pick sticks, pick rocks, stack wood, all of this things that we had to do next.
So there was no room for what?
What I wanted, my play.
And what did you want, Jesse?
I wanted to play.
You
I
wanted
wanted to do
play.
what I wanted to do. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. I wanted my independence of it.
Okay. So say now, I don't know if I'm going in the right direction with this. But say now you have that. If you could imagine then and then imagine now, if you had that, what are one of the things that you would go for? So you're doing what you want to do. What do you know about yourself? What's the one big thing that you go for when you can do what you want to do? Have fun. How do you do that? Do you do it alone?
Usually, yeah. It was
What do
better
you
with
do?
others. I mean,
Yeah,
it was
that's
better. It was, but my first 4 years was alone.
yeah.
And then I had a brother, but then I had a cousin. And so it was always better to go with them and go play when we could. Yeah.
So what I was looking for and what I'm hearing, and I was looking for it because it's how I've gotten to know you, is that you look for connection. That's the thing about gathering for you.
Yeah. And that would make sense in the together. Let's, yeah. Let's not work on that. Let's not gather to work that.
Mm. And so the primary emotion for me is love, right?
Mm-hmm. And joy. I'd say joy for me.
Very nice.
So it's what's looking for that joy and know that that's not going to be joy. Even though I can make it that way.
Yes,
That's the adult.
yes, you can. Absolutely. And this is a question, like really, this is a very generic question. So if our child defensive part keeps on coming up, and we feel frustrated about the outcomes of what that brings us, then somewhere along the line, there's a change that needs to happen that we aren't seeing. Because my logic tells me if we have enough of what the adult needs, which would include breaking through those old patterns, then they don't have to keep on recurring. And it's not like they will never, ever recur, but it's, I guess it's about the frequency with which they would come back then, right?
And at which that interplay goes back and forth with, and I can, a lot of our disagreements would be a version from that where she wants this something done and it's me doing it or not. But there you go. That's the interesting aspect.
So I mean, in that instance, you're talking about that particular part, then it might be useful to go and just look at where's the connection, the basic connection need not being met. So where are you not asking for it when you need it? And I put the emphasis on us asking for it rather than expecting or just thinking that it's got to be there. Because if we take that concept of that we are powerful creators of our lives, then we also need to apply that to relationships that we're in, that we are shapers, we are powerful shapers of the relationships that we have, close, distant, in between. Always with compassion, right? Because compassion serves us and the other.
And it's looking at the like what's the information there, and it's information if I can see what am I making it to be. It's like, oh, it's your burden becomes my burden. You started it, you finish it. And then it also reveals the yes, I'll do it and not want to. All good awarenesses, yeah, for whatever the big one's coming next.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's why it's so important to do this work when we've got the space to do it.
When it's and peace, when it's at calm, when it's not the pressure on it, when it's not as significant, so that it can be explored, pulled apart, witnessed, observed, assessed, looked at, let go of, and prepared for the next one.
Right, regrouped, right?
Yeah, there's the other part of it, is the going good, so we'll want to sabotage it. Yeah,
I know. I
it's
know.
that aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wants to get a little rise out of it, right?
Mm.
Little. Oh, yeah, there it is. Fix it, get it, so you can fix it. Ugh. Create a problem so you can solve it.
Mm. Mm. So I was thinking about something after our conversation last week. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it was when I'd asked you about I don't know why the question is escaping me now, but what was how you got to the awareness of being alone, like what had happened. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
Okay, so I would really like to ask you something that for me personally that I would like to know about, because I think in your sharing that there could be something valuable for me in that. But if you don't want to, of course, there's no obligation, right? There never
Yeah,
is.
yeah, all good.
So when you think about when you had the stroke and your recovery from there, like what okay, let me ask it to you this way. If you knew what you know now, how would you have done that differently? I mean, I don't even know how you did it, but I'm asking because I want to understand, how did the knowledge of structure, although you're an engineer, so you always think in terms of structure, but maybe you didn't in terms of your personal experience then. So how did the knowledge of structure in specific, how would it have helped you in your recovery, do you think? Or how might it have helped you?
I think what I don't like structure. I'm not sure structure. I guess the structure of passion, true nature, would be the revealing of it. So the vision in which that I got, that I would say triggered that event, uh,
Okay.
was the catalyst to that event, and then the event I guess in a way lay dormant for quite some time as a result of it afterwards.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but I think to the point, I believe it was just a part of an awareness of the it doesn't seem right, but it's more of the power we are. And probably more in the sense of so much of a download that created the opportunity that we are today, that it is today. Because I basically saw pipelines of oil flowing throughout the United States full of money going to my pockets, which
And
is,
then you
in a
and
sense, what
then
we're doing.
and then you got the stroke.
Yeah, that was in it. That was the cause of it. Yeah, it was. So it was that order. The wife had shared something with me, and it kind of it the neurons took off firing, and then I controlled it for quite a while and played with it for quite a while. And
So when you were physically recovering, did you remember that?
mhm.
You did.
And I
Okay.
couldn't go. I was very careful to go back to it. I was very careful to go back to anything because it felt as if those gates, those doors were open and it could be easy to lose control again.
Yes.
And very similar, the same thing showed up as very interesting, into the recodes again. I could sense getting there again a couple of times.
Yeah. So would I be, so what comes to mind for me in what
Mm.
I know and you're telling now, so what comes to mind for me is that it seems like it's almost like there was that vision and then your body collapses. And so what I get from that is that you needed, the message was, there is this, but you don't have what it takes to manage it yet.
Yeah.
And I'm going that way because of it's not the same kind of experience, but certainly there was an experience of enormous breadth of presence, and then synchronicities, and then it all got changed. And so I was trying to make sense of why was it, why was that changed? And then the message that I got for myself was, you've got more work to do before you can manage that properly. So that's why I read what I read from your experience, right? So there could be some resonance.
Yeah.
So what I'm also thinking about now is that when we engage in defenses, part of for me in terms of my work and in dealing with my own addictions, that's part of our defenses, right? So in partaking in addictions is because we can't deal with the underlying emotions, the underlying primary emotions. There's not enough support externally and perhaps in the body itself. I really do think it's a combination of both when it comes to chemical addictions.
Mm.
Alcoholism very specifically. cannabis, people say it's addictive. I think it's more behaviorally addictive, and the relief of it, the relief of the emotions becomes addictive. But the substance itself, I don't think is. Hard drugs, I think, are.
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
And pharmaceuticals,
Yep.
medication, pain medications, definitely.
So there's another experience that's worth sharing, whatever reason it is. And I think it has a very similar to do with awareness is all the key to it. And of course, for me, is the noticing of time in the sense of can't tell whether it's speeding up or slowing it down.
Mm.
In reality, they're the same thing.
Oh. You got to run that by my brain again. Why is it the same thing?
Because it's all relative. It's all relative to if you're moving at the same, we're all moving at the same speed of it. So if we're all going the speed of light, nothing's moving. All relative. So our version of it, how we see things, I say things are moving so fast that we see the fixedness of it.
Mm.
As if everything around us is just spinning around us, that makes it appear that it's, have you ever seen the wheels like on the car, like the spokes of and it looks like they go forward and then they almost stop and then they spin backwards, it's like that. It's like that illusion of it. As both times it's like if I said if I could manipulate time, that is the way to manipulate the time, is in how fast do I see it. And what I've seen at times is I've seen the probability cloud trailing. Sorry. Yeah, it'd be trailing because it's the spin of it, right? The spin is like a comet, right? All the fading of it. And then if you see it, it's like, no, that all comes together into the very front face of it all, the next moment of now. So it was a fascinating experience. I was sitting around the campfire with a group of us, and it was that experience. Whew. Nothing's moving, but it's you could see and hear, and it was it really effed with me. When you think of it from that perspective. I mean, the reality is like, we have to see reality a certain way. And if we start to see it completely off, it really throws us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, we can't make sense of that.
Yeah.
And that becomes very scary.
Oh, yes. I mean, I was talking to you about, and this is just on the ground, right? Which is when your experience speaks to another level of paradigm shift. That I think that often happens in relationship when there has been a certain experience of a person and a certain image of a person, and then a truth gets revealed. And that whole image of the person has to get readjusted. It's it's a similar thing. It's very scary. Yeah.
As if I'm watching a series with the wife and I, and Breaking Bad, and it's as if part of the character, right? You're living with someone, you're married to someone, you're loving someone, and then there's a new awareness, and now all of a sudden you become scared, afraid of them. It's like, and it's like as if that, and then you can't ever go back and be unaware of that.
No. No.
Same thing as our experiences are, whether we want to recall and remember them or shove them way down deep and forget it and try to
Exactly.
keep everything like it is here.
Exactly.
The problem is because if we do any of that other stuff, then we're crazy.
Yeah.
Yet we all have the experience. We're just not
Yeah.
willing to talk about it. Yeah. And in all reality, we could probably learn so much more from the experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so.
And I think it is that it is the unleashing of the genius, you know, the aspects of it. It's the visions as which we see them, you know, that they're coming into existence.
I'm thinking about two things now as you're talking about this, just in terms of how our perception, which I think our perception can only change really when our experience changes, right? And I've found recently, I don't know how to describe it, but there's a difference for me. I was thinking about this too. You know, I've been struggling with the vertigo, right? And then last night I thought to myself, you know, I've been so frustrated with it because it's hampered so much for me. So I've gone ahead and just made my own adjustments in terms of how I'm working with the medication, and it seems to be kind of okay. And it's leaving me at least with half the day without that heavy, heavy vertigo. But the thing that I realized also is that in having the vertigo, I had to completely adjust in terms of how my body was moving. I don't manage all the time. This morning I banged into stuff nonstop. But what it has also done is because I've had to adjust my body, I really can, in moments when I'm not activated, I can pull myself up much higher or further to the side, whatever.
Mhm.
And my experience of looking at life is quite different. And I really don't know, I don't know how to put it into words. It feels more distant and yet so much more present and ironically more engaged. So there was that kind of thing. And then the other thing that while you were talking, that you were talking about the comet and seeing what you saw, which I still couldn't translate, but I can feel the experience in my body. And I had a tiny little bit of experience of that. I was in the kitchen, and when I'm in the kitchen, I can look through the bay windows of the lounge, which looks out onto the front lawn. And it was kind of duskish kind of thing. And I was cooking, and I kept on looking onto the lawn, and I thought, what the hell's, why do I keep on looking there? And then I saw what I had seen 3 times already, and that's a guy with top hat and tails running across the lawn. And of course, there was nobody with top hats and tails. And I was kind of like, wonder where he's on his way to. And then I thought, you've just seen somebody with top hats and tails. Anyway, and my next reaction was, oh, well, parallel universe. I managed to see through the veil.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I had experiences like that as a kid. And just, I just kind of thought everybody had.
Yeah, I bet we do.
Mm.
I bet we do. Till we fix it, right? Point it and fix it and doubt it, really.
Oh, yeah.
I know my daughter did. Big time. Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
It was fascinating. Tell me all about it.
Did she tell you to?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. More dark than probably should have been.
Mm.
But in which it's as if, what do you look for in the dark?
That's right.
The light.
That's right. Exactly.
And it makes complete sense to knock it off as the imagination.
Yeah.
Which we don't use enough of anymore.
No. And not realizing that the imagination is the pipeline to the field, right? Yep. That is more real. Gosh.
I would say so. And I think it's more of the, as we share that with others, like as it is okay to do, and other people have theirs, sense theirs, open theirs, observe theirs, and that in a sense is how it becomes created anyway. Pretty damn, and in all reality, it's pretty damn good what we've created with what we've got.
Yeah.
Just imagine how much better that it could be when we start to bring in the imagination a little more.
And I just think also if we learn more from our own biology and from nature, we learn those principles of expansion because they're there.
As you were sharing your experience, it's one of the things that I noticed that I focused on was how would I do this upside down or underwater?
Yes.
And that's the wonderful experience, co-created. It was a day me and my daughter were out, and she's like, "I'm going to walk on water." Great.
I remember you telling me.
Loved it.
Yeah.
But that had me started to think, and every time I still think of it, it's like I see her walking on water, standing on the floaty, walking across the water, and I vision myself flipped upside down under the water, solving whatever it is. And it's like just thinking from that perspective gives it a whole different view. How would you make enough money underwater? How would you run a coaching session underwater? How does a fish know how the water is?
Exactly. Yeah. You're a stupid joke. Sorry.
It is a great analogy.
Mm. It is, because it speaks to the context in which we exist and the interaction between ourselves and the context, right? And the stimulus.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's like the aware of the obvious. Which then creates, a whole space to be, oh, yeah, right. What if that? How could that? And then all of a sudden it's starting to open the expansive questions, the expansive thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
The yes and thinking.
Hmm. And I come back to that story of Sadhguru's again about look at things as they are.
Hmm.
Because when you do, if you do that to its full depth, you get to the underwater.
Yep.
And so it's again that thing about the expanse of presence.
Hmm. Yeah. Presence was the theme this morning.
Mm. I listened to the live stream for about 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
My word was contribution this morning, so that was so interesting.
Yeah. Heart connected contribution of presence.
Yeah, I wrote a little comment there for you. Or for anybody that's watched that, goes to watch it as well.
Oh, thank you.
Hmm.
Well, anything like as our breakthrough, as we scatter, because we gathered, that we would share. Bridging. Yeah, we're bridging.
Yeah.
What are we bridging?
From me to you.
Yep.
And from me to into life.
Me to we to the full potential.
Yeah.
Presence of potential presence. Peace, power, passion, purpose, and prosperity. aware or being charged
Mm.
where we want. Allow being compassionate.
Mm. And so there's the wiggle and the giggle.
Mm. Where the bridge. Allow the bridge of compassion. Mm. How much we want it, yet still resist it.
Yes. And so then one's got to ask, well, what's that about?
Mhm. Well, I appreciate you.
Me, you, Jess, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for integrity of discipline and tenacity of showing up and working with me.
I'm very glad that I have it.
Me too. I can work with you, see yours, see through you, see mine.
That's great.
It is gathering together where the interbeing lives.
Mm. Mm.
Well, have a great rest of the day.
You too.
All right, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Bye-bye.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow
Look forward
good for you still?
What's that?
Tomorrow still good?
Planning on it. Yep. So good. All right.
Perfect.
Bye.